Do you agree, because of a variety of circumstances from all parties, that this is the best outcome? This is the right thing right now for everyone?
Yes, because as I said, sometimes the bad guys win. They got what they wanted. Tony's too feckless to do anything about it. But at least Punk doesn't have to put up with these people anymore. And he can move on to whether it's the Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble or whatever. The termination with cause, we have to investigate whether there's any non-compete as a result of that, or whether that may be tied up in court or whatever. But he can go on because now he's the hottest wrestler in the business as far as people talking about him. And he can translate the momentum that he had and the news that he made and the attention that he got on WWE television in front of a much larger audience into more money. And he will not be having locker room fights with goddamn people because they don't do that there. Because they know who's running the fucking show, and it won't be him or anybody he's fighting with. But as long as they give him, I would think, the level of input that they give the Codys and the Romans and the whoever the fuck else, then, and he's got history with Heyman. I don't know how they are these days.
I mean, you can't do it with Heyman because he's with Roman Reigns, but he got fired with cause. So let's play with the idea that he's.
But hold on, I didn't mean with Heyman.
No, I know.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is, if it was with Heyman, it'll be perfect. But you can't. Let's just say if it happened right now, you couldn't really do it this way. But if he was fired with cause, I wish Bobby Heenan was here. You just have someone show up at the end of Raw and say, "I have here the championship of the real world champion."
The real world champion.
He never lost that belt. The real world champion, CM Punk.
But that's what it's better for Punk because he just needs to move on and do 2 years in with the big boys. And he doesn't have to put up with all that bullshit anymore. It's better for the Buckaroos and their ilk because they don't have somebody that's going to show them up and get in their way and stop them from doing the stupid things that they do and or just show that they're not the big names in the company. The only people that it's detrimental to are Tony, for all the business reasons, and us and all the fans, because now we can't even watch a good show on Saturday night.
Are we still going to watch Collision?
I don't know whether anybody's still going to watch Collision.
Because it was rough. It was rough this past week.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Let's give it 2 or 3 weeks to see if it turns into Rampage, and we'll know by then. But it'll also be interesting to see if they're applying their Wednesday formula to Saturday. The Saturday program that's been holding its audience, will that happen, or will the same thing does on Wednesday? They go, okay, I've seen 45 minutes or an hour of this fucking same old shit. I can leave now. We'll see what happens to their numbers and to their patterns and to the quality, which we already are seeing. But it penalizes the fans and it penalizes us that has to watch it. But it's best for everybody that was making money out of the situation.
Maybe Punk could run his own show in Chicago. He can call it Somewhat In.
Ooh, I like that. Or how about this? He could do 2 shows every year. One is See Him In, and the other one is See Him Out.
Well, I guess they're going to have to take place Labor Day weekend if we go based on his prior successes with these events.
That would be the one where he sees them out.
Any final thoughts on this? I mean, it's been such a crazy turn of events. Every time something happened, another thing was reported. Every time you talk about that, another thing happened.
It was snake bit from the start, and they knew what they could do. They knew that they could get away with anything because of Tony. And they, I mean, the Cucamonga kids, the Lollipop Guild. They didn't want him there to begin with. Their good friend, Colt Cabana. Oh, Colt Cabana, Colt Cabana. And they have sabotaged this since the start. It didn't help. It helped them that Punk got injured because he was gone. The first time he was gone for a while, if you're out of sight, out of mind. But he comes back and he's still bigger than they are. So they've been engineering this ever since, and they finally got their way. And, that's basically that Tony Khan is going to go down in history as a guy that spent more money than anybody's ever had before, or even close to before, to start a wrestling promotion, had all these gifts given to him in terms of the right context and time for Wembley Stadium and the TV with TBS because now they're starving for viewers and the whole 9 yards. And he ends up looking like the star of a German bukkake flick after all the guys get finished with him. This is Gordon Scazzari times 100. Gordon Scazzari spent $1 million. Tony spent 100. And when they had Gordon Scazzari just had a goddamn pack of checks in his hand with no register and no checkbook, just writing guys checks and tearing them off as quick as he could that night. I witnessed it. I said, I got to get out of here and never see any of these people again. And it's the same thing 30 years later with a guy with 100 times more money. And so there you go.
Well, there you go. And this has been a special edition. We're going to drop this as a special episode and get right back to recording the episode we were recording. As all this happened, there are still about 9 pay-per-views this weekend and a multitude of events to watch, but I think we can close the doors on the CM Punk beat for the week, or the weekend.
I don't know. I think he's going to flip. I think he's going to be out there throwing puppies off the top of the United Center.
He's in Chicago, isn't he?
Well, he has a home there.
They're in Chicago.
I'm thinking he's going to have a sack of a dozen puppies, and he's going to climb to the top of the United Center and start throwing them down to see if he can hit the fucking Bucks.